Time may seem to flow naturally, but it is actually a system of continuous correction. In order to determine what day it is, humanity has gone through 5,000 years of observation, calculation, and error adjustment. From the moon to the sun, from religion to empire, calendars have been rewritten again and again. The date we use today is a negotiated approximation of celestial cycles shaped by civilization. The earliest systematically recorded unit of time came from the changing phases of the moon. New moon, first quarter, full moon, last quarter, about 29.5 days complete one cycle. Early societies carved lunar phases into bones and stones. Thus the lunar calendar was born, marking the first time humans transformed natural rhythms into a repeatable structure for organizing daily life. In Babylon, priests observed the moon to determine festivals, taxation, and religious rituals. In ancient China during the Shang and Zhou dynasties, lunar phases guided agriculture and ceremonies. The moon became the center of social order. Yet a lunar year has about 354 days, 11 days shorter than the solar year, and this difference gradually created noticeable seasonal drift. The error in the lunar calendar is subtle at first, but after 3 years it accumulates to nearly a month, and after 30 years almost a full year. Spring could arrive during what is officially winter. Agriculture and rituals would fall out of sync. Farming societies could not tolerate such drift, forcing civilizations to seek a more stable standard based on the solar year. Ancient Egyptians observed the rising of Sirius alongside the flooding of the Nile and calculated a year close to 365 days. The solar cycle became the foundation for agricultural prediction. This discovery allowed more precise planting and harvesting, and established a lasting connection between astronomical observation and calendar design. In 46 BCE, Julius Caesar introduced the Julian calendar, 365 days a year, with one extra day every 4 years. The Roman Empire used it to unify administrative and military timekeeping. The calendar became a tool of governance and laid the foundation for the Western calendar tradition that would spread across regions and cultures. The Julian calendar miscalculated by about 11 minutes per year. Over centuries, that tiny error accumulated into 10 days. The spring equinox shifted earlier and religious observances drifted from their intended astronomical positions. Calendar reform became not only a scientific issue, but also a political and religious necessity. In 1582, Pope Gregory XIII announced calendar reform. October 4th was immediately followed by October 15th. 10 days simply disappeared. Many Europeans believed their lifespan had been stolen. The reform revealed how deeply calendar systems are tied to religion, psychology, and cultural belief. Different countries adopted the new calendar at different times. Catholic nations implemented it first, while Protestant regions delayed for decades. Trade, diplomacy, and record-keeping became confused. Time proved to be not merely scientific calculation, but a key factor in international coordination and civilizational identity. Russia adopted the new calendar much later. As a result, the October Revolution actually occurred in November by the Gregorian system. Historical records span 2 calendar systems, demonstrating that time itself can become a variable in political and historical narratives. Unlike Europe, China did not abandon the moon. Instead, it developed a lunisolar calendar. Months follow the lunar cycle, while solar terms track the sun's position. Leap months are inserted to correct the drift. This system balances lunar rhythm with solar stability, making the calendar not only practical for agriculture, but also a symbol of imperial authority and social order. The 24 solar terms mark the sun's position along the ecliptic. Beginning of spring, summer solstice, autumn equinox, winter solstice, these are not merely festivals, but precise astronomical calculations. They guided farming, social organization, and daily life, reflecting the scientific understanding ancient civilizations had of celestial cycles. In ancient China, reforming the calendar symbolized political power. A new emperor would issue a new calendar to demonstrate the transfer of the mandate of heaven. Timekeeping was not just astronomy, but a statement of legitimacy and authority. Calendar reform carried deep political meaning and reinforced the structure of civilization itself. In the Islamic world, a purely lunar calendar was preserved, beginning with the migration of the Prophet Muhammad. A lunar year has 354 days and is not adjusted to the solar cycle. As a result, Ramadan rotates through all seasons, tying religious practice directly to the natural shifting of time. Ramadan may occur in intense summer heat or deep winter cold. This seasonal rotation allows believers to experience time across varying natural conditions. The lunar calendar is more than a system of dating, it reflects a spiritual philosophy of equality and continuity, embedding faith directly into the rhythm of time itself. During the French Revolution, reformers attempted to abolish the 7-day week and replace it with a 10-day system. The goal was to free time from religious influence and the old regime. Though rational in theory, the reform ultimately failed due to public resistance and social complexity. The failure of the revolutionary calendar reveals a deeper truth: human habits are more resilient than political ideals. A calendar can be designed logically, but social acceptance determines survival. Timekeeping is not purely scientific, it is shaped by culture, psychology, and collective behavior. The Industrial Revolution transformed the rules of time. Railways required synchronized schedules, and global shipping demanded standardized dates. Rapid communication and trade forced civilizations to coordinate. Time shifted from local solar observation to institutionalized global systems. In 1884, Greenwich was established as the prime meridian. The Earth was divided into 24 time zones. The Sun was effectively segmented into standardized hours. Modern civilization depends on this shared structure for coordination, navigation, and scientific measurement. Today, satellite navigation, financial markets, and internet servers rely on time measured to the second. The solar calendar and standardized time form the invisible infrastructure of global society. Precision timekeeping has become central to technology, economics, and coordination. Culturally, humanity still lives within multiple calendar systems. Lunar New Year, Ramadan, and Easter coexist. Different civilizations calculate their festivals differently. Time is both natural phenomenon and cultural agreement, reflecting how societies preserve identity within globalization. Does time belong to the universe, or to humanity? If Earth's rotation slowed and a day became 30 hours, every existing calendar would collapse. Agriculture, holidays, and scientific models would require revision. Our control over time is ultimately a civilizational negotiation, not an absolute constant. If humans settle on Mars, a year would last 687 Earth days. Current holidays and calendars would no longer apply. Martian days and years differ fundamentally. Civilization would have to redesign time itself, redefining birthdays, anniversaries, and collective memory. We believe we live in the year 2026, but that number exists only within the Gregorian system. Switch calendars, and the year instantly changes. Time is not absolute, it depends on calculation, selection, and civilizational agreement. Lunar, solar, and lunisolar calendars represent different ways of understanding time. The lunar calendar follows the moon. The solar calendar follows Earth's orbit around the sun. The lunisolar system attempts to reconcile both. Each reflects how civilizations interpret nature and manage society. The next time you celebrate your birthday, consider the science and history behind that date. Astronomers, priests, and rulers debated and calculated for centuries to determine what day it truly is. Timekeeping contains accumulated human knowledge. A calendar is more than a scientific instrument, it is a cultural contract. Whether lunar, solar, or lunisolar, each reflects values, beliefs, and social structure. Timekeeping expresses how humanity negotiates between nature and civilization. Major calendar reforms throughout history have triggered social reactions and instability. From the French decimal calendar to the Gregorian reform, people's psychological attachment to time demonstrates that calendars are deeply embedded in civilizational structure. As civilizations cross borders, and perhaps planets, time systems become tools of cooperation and sources of tension. Trade, science, navigation, and communication all rely on standardized time. Calendars reveal both coordination and cultural difference. Time is both a product of civilization and a tool of civilization. The coexistence of lunar, solar, and lunisolar systems reminds us that time is not absolute. It is shaped by observation, calculation, and collective agreement. In the end, will you trust the moon, the sun, or humanity's consensus?